So for context on this, I was working on a Python extension for Davinci Resolve that integrates with frame.io for a colleague of a friend the other day. And it got me to thinking about those videos where people make games in engines that weren't intended for use making games. I have a particular soft spot for dynamic pairs videos where he makes Football Manager in Microsoft Excel. I haven't seen anyone make a game in Davinci Resolve yet, or at least if they have, it doesn't turn up when I search for it. If you've already made a game in Davinci Resolve, then, tell me so I can sue you for infringing on the idea I had in the future of you having the idea. In addition to its straight video editing offering, Davinci Resolve also has this Fusion tab that lets you do 3D operations. With that in mind, and considering the program's API lets you perform some of these operations programmatically, today I'll be using Davinci Resolve as the 3D front end for chess, and by will be, I mean have been, because I did it, and here it is. I put the little cone in there because the lighting made me think of like early noughties CGI. So here's how it works. On the edit timeline there are two Fusion compositions, one of which is the main menu. You can tab between the options by pressing the Shift key, which changes which of the two 3D text objects in this composition is highlighted. Then when you press Enter, it moves the playhead from the first composition on the timeline to the second, where we have this chessboard. You always play as white because the Python script controlling all this is already way too long, and if I work on it anymore, I think I'm going to have a heart attack. You can use the Shift and Control keys to tab between the chess pieces on the board. I did it this way because pretty much every other key is reserved for use by Davinci Resolve for like moving the playhead or running other operations, and I don't really want to mess with the keyboard shortcuts in case I use Davinci for something other than 3D game development again. Although I'm not sure why anyone would want to do that, given how clearly optimized for game dev it is. Once you've chosen which piece you want to move, you select it with the Enter key and then press Shift to tab between all the legal moves that chess piece has access to. Once you've found where you want the piece to go, you press Enter, the piece moves across the board to the requested location, and then the CPU will move one of its pieces. I'm using a combination of Stockfish, the open source chess engine, and Python-chess as the chess backend for this project, and I've linked to both libraries in the description. I also set Stockfish's elo to 800, but either I did it wrong or I'm actually a 400 because I have not won yet. The game also handles castling, so if you make a move that the system detects as a castle, it moves the appropriate rook to where it's supposed to go. It also highlights the kings in red if they get placed in check. After the game is over, the program returns and you can press the play button in the scripts box to play again. When you press play, it will reset the opacity and game state of all the pieces on the board, move them back to their starting positions, and let you take another stab at it. Also, when the game finishes, it pastes a PGN to your computer clipboard that you can paste into websites like chess.com to do game review. A PGN is basically a long string that contains all of the moves in the game, as well as headers that are metadata about who the players are and where the match was held. Here you can see one game I played against Davinci Resolve where I hang a queen in one move and then proceed not to see it on my next move, and neither does Stockfish, I guess. Maybe I am a 400. Anyway, the script definitely is in some dire need of cleaning up and optimization because I think I use this one block of code about 10 times throughout, and there's probably junk in there that I can strip out. I don't know if I can really be faffed with it though, given, why is this guy making video games in Davinci Resolve with no profit incentive? So I'm alternatively thinking I might just dump it on GitHub and let the buyer beware. Caveat emptor, as Smith v. Hughes would say. Smith v. Hughes is an English contract law case so anyway, that's about it. The development process was fun. I found out that I could type help thing in the console, and that was a bit of an earth-shattering revelation, but mostly it was just trawling through official and unofficial API sites and forums and digging out random lines of code. We got there in the end though, and it actually runs relatively quickly given it was absolutely not intended to be used for this purpose. I'm not sure how I'm going to set this up so other people can play it just because of how many moving parts are involved. I think I can export the project files and the Python script in that, but that script has a few dependencies, and I had to set up system level variables to make it go at all. So I'll make all the files available, but your mileage may vary on whether it actually works. Let me know. If I were to keep working on this, aside from removing the redundant code and probably fractionalizing it into multiple scripts rather than just like one mega block of unreadable nonsense, I would probably update it to change what the pawn looks like when it gets promoted. Currently it just, gets promoted with no visual change, so you can't really see how it's supposed to move. I also think it might be fun to add particle effects when stuff happens, like when pieces are destroyed, but that would require a bit more work into how the input-output system of Fusion works from the scripting API point of view, and that sounds like a lot of work. I could also link it to the Light Chess API to let you play multiplayer, so instead of using the Stockfish backend, it just calls the Light Chess endpoints to poll an active game. That would be unhinged. I think I might do that one actually. What do you think, Wealthbot? That was Wealthbot, my little guy who likes money. His origin story is my previous video, which you can watch right now by clicking here. Or alternatively, if you prefer watching game development work done in engines designed for game development work, here's that. I am in hell. Goodbye.